All right, today we're diving into something that, let's be honest, we all struggle with. We're going to get a brutally honest take on a huge problem: why we get people so wrong so often. You know the feeling, right? It's a classic story. You meet someone new, you get a good vibe, you start to trust them, and then, bam, disappointment hits. And you're just left there thinking, how did I not see that? How could I have been so wrong? It happens everywhere, with friends, at work, even in our love lives. It's just a super frustrating but super common part of being human. Well, the old book we're looking at today has some, let's just say, brutally honest answers. It doesn't sugarcoat anything, and its argument is actually pretty simple. The reason we keep getting it wrong, it's because we're looking at who people pretend to be, not who they actually are. So yeah, let's dive right into that. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the masks people wear. You know, that carefully crafted version of themselves that they show everyone else. The one that, a lot of the time, has almost nothing to do with who they are deep down. I mean, this metaphor is just so powerful, isn't it? It's not like this is an accident. Oh no, it's totally intentional. People are actively, curating the version of themselves that they want us to see. It's like we all have this built-in talent for acting, for putting on a mask that makes us look good. We're basically seeing the bright side of the moon, completely clueless that there's a whole dark side we're just not being shown. So the book has a name for this whole performance: affectation. And it's more than just an act. The argument is that it's actually a kind of self-criticism. Think about it. If you're pretending to be something you're not, you're basically admitting that you think who you really are isn't good enough. And this whole performance is constantly at war with our true nature, right? That core self that's always there, always pushing to come out. You just can't keep up the act forever. And that's really the fatal flaw in this whole mask-wearing business. The philosopher Seneca put it perfectly. Affectation cannot last very long, and one day the mask will fall off. I mean, it's just true. All masks are temporary. Sooner or later, that performance just falls apart, and the real person, their true nature, comes roaring back. It's just not sustainable. Okay, so if the mask is just temporary, then what is permanent? What's the thing we should really be looking at? Well, that brings us to the idea of the unchanging core. And the key idea here is what the book calls innate character. It's defined as incorrigible, which is a fancy way of saying it's unfixable. It can't be corrected or changed. It's basically a person's source code. You can't rewrite it. You can only manage what's already there. And there's this fantastic old saying that just nails this idea. You can drive out nature with a pitchfork, but it will always return. It perfectly sums up how pointless it is to try and change who someone is at their core. You can try. You can push and shove and try to suppress their natural instincts, but it's like bending a tree branch. The second you let go, snap. It goes right back to how it was. That's because, as the book says, nature is just relentless. So you might be thinking, okay, if character is fixed, how does that help me? Well, the advice is actually super practical. It's simple. Stop listening to promises. Ignore the apologies. If you want to predict what someone's going to do next, you have to look at two things: their fundamental character and their own self-interest. The book says the real clues are in the small things. Watch how people act when they think no one's paying attention. That's where you see who they really are. All right, so we've kind of diagnosed the problem, right? People wear masks, but underneath, their true nature is fixed. So what's the prescription? How are we supposed to deal with this? How do we navigate a world that's just packed with these complicated people? Now, this first piece of advice is, well, it's pretty cynical, not gonna lie, but it really sets the tone for everything else. The idea is that if you're too nice to people, too forgiving, too generous, it almost always backfires. It doesn't inspire them to be better. Nope, it just makes them feel entitled, arrogant even. And that core idea leads to a set of pretty practical, if kinda cold, rules for dealing with people. First, be careful with new acquaintances. Don't immediately decide someone's amazing. Second, keep a little distance. Getting too familiar often leads to contempt. Third, and this one's huge, just give up on the idea that people will fundamentally change. Fourth, and this is wild, if you really think highly of someone, hide it like it's a secret, because showing them gives them a weird kind of power over you. And finally, you just have to accept people for who they are, good and bad. See them as an unchangeable fact of life. You know, the book even offers this amazing twist on the old saying, live and let live. It's not about just passively putting up with people. It's an active strategy. It means you have to stop trying to change them. Stop getting angry and outraged by what they do. I mean, that's as pointless as getting mad at a rock for being in your way. Instead, you just accept their nature as a fact, and then you figure out how to either use it to your advantage, or at the very least, how to navigate around it. Okay, now we get to the final section, and honestly, this might be the most powerful idea in the whole book. Because after all this time learning how to size up other people, the guide suddenly flips the script. It turns the mirror back on us, and it points out our own biggest, most crucial blind spot. And it all comes down to this one central idea. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. And kind of humbling, really. Just listen to this. No man can see over his own height. Let that just sink in for a second. So what does that even mean? It means that when you look at another person, you're not seeing them objectively at all. You're seeing a reflection of yourself, your own intelligence, your own character, your own potential for good or evil. That's the ceiling. That's the absolute limit of what you can possibly grasp in someone else. The book puts it bluntly. If your own intelligence is, not that high, then even the most brilliant qualities in another person will be completely invisible to you. You literally cannot see what you don't have in yourself. And this explains a huge paradox, right? It's why, according to this worldview, good, noble people are often the ones who get fooled the most. It's because they judge everyone else by their own high standards. They operate with integrity and selflessness, so they can't even imagine a mind that runs purely on selfishness. They can't conceive of it. And because of that, they miss all the red flags. In a weird way, their own goodness becomes their biggest blind spot. So, where does all this leave us? I mean, is this worldview just grim? The idea that everyone's wearing a mask, that people never really change, and that we can't even see them clearly because of our own limitations? Or is there maybe something liberating about it? Is there kind of freedom in finally dropping all those false hopes and expectations and just seeing people, and maybe even ourselves, for exactly who we are? That's the question I want to leave you with.